Hello and welcome to Undercommon Taste. This is a podcast where we create and discuss homebrew content for tabletop RPGs.
Carry on, my wayward son. There will be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
I'm Ian Woodworth. I'm joined by my co-host James Daly, and today we are talking about another one of the games that I'm going to be running for one of my wife's library's gaming events coming up in November. Today we're talking about Monster of the Week.
Which, I mean, we're coming right up on Halloween, too. This is spoopy season. This fits perfectly.
Yeah, this is one of the games that I have had on my shelf for a while that I have really wanted to get a chance to play. And I'm really excited to finally be getting into it, getting a feel for the rules, and getting a game together to run. I've been listening to The Crit Show, which is an amazing... Started off as primarily Monster of the Week. They do dabble in some other Forged in the Dark and Powered by the Apocalypse games, but they're predominantly a Monster of the Week podcast, and they've been running since late 2019, and it's an absolutely amazing podcast. I highly recommend going and listening to it, but that really turned me on to Monster of the Week, and it's everything I want from a game.
Yeah, I got a brief overview of the rules, just kind of got to look a little bit, and it looks like a really solid, again, a very simple and elegant type game. It does leave a lot of options, but this does look like a really, really fun and enjoyable system.
And so Monster of the Week is written by Michael Sands, published by Evil Hat Games, and the game centers around a group of players who are hunters. They are monster hunters. They are exceptional in what they do.
So with this, like, we had Kids on Bikes our last episode, and the Kids on Bike, you are the everyday person, the everyman, every woman. This is the polar opposite of this. You are exceptional. Start right off the bat, level 0 character, you are above and beyond.
Yes, you are head and shoulders above the rank and file. In some way, shape, or form, you have a tool set that allows you to do things that most people will never be able to do. Not can't do, will never be able to do.
Yes, you are just simply exceptional.
And to that end, there are a number of playbooks, which is the term that they use instead of classes. Each playbook has a different set of abilities that they can do that are, well, unique to their playbook. It's going to be hard for me to not say class in this episode. So if I say class, no, I mean playbook.
Right. And looking at these playbooks, these do have a bit of the White Wolf VTM feel to it. Just a little bit. I mean, not in depth, but again, you do have enough variation, and the way some of the rule sets look, just on the surface, I was getting a bit of a VTM feel.
Yeah, they do have that DNA. You can see where, sort of the vampire clans can sort of be analogous to the playbooks in Monster of the Week. In the core rulebook that you can just pick up off of your local game store shelf, there are 12 statted out playbooks. There are tons more available. Yeah. Evil Hat has a bunch of them for free on their website. There are lots of third-party, just fan-made playbooks. And for anyone who has looked around on D&D Beyond for, like, homebrew classes, you know that some of them are great and some of them are not.
Fair.
So buyer beware.
That's actually not, like... If you have a bunch of experienced players at your table, and you guys are all kind of either, maybe you've played Monster of the Week before, maybe you're wanting to do something new, I kind of like the idea of having a bunch of those pre-made characters and drawing them from a hat. And yeah, some are going to be great. Some are obviously going to be broken. Some are going to be broken in very entertaining ways. But I think if you have experienced players and they want something new and something kind of just maybe more relaxing and fun, yeah, just pull a character out of a hat.
And so we're going to be talking a little bit today about the system, some of the rules within Monster of the Week, and at the end of everything, we've each picked 2 of the 12 playbooks to talk about. So we're going to be talking about 4 playbooks in total. We're not going to have time to go through all 12, obviously.
Yeah.
Because we do tend to get long-winded, and we almost had to break up our new D&D classes into 3 episodes because we got a bit long-winded on everything.
It happens.
It does.
Ooh, look, something shiny.
So we have limited ourselves to 4 of the playbooks. And so let's go ahead and get into what Monster of the Week is. Open the hood and see what makes it tick.
Ooh, open the box. Do we get that nice little cellophane tear? I love that. It's all crinkly. Like, I love the AMSR things where they're like opening
ASMR?
Yeah, where they're opening like the new game boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like, now that we're, on distraction mode, something that the younger Gen Z and the Gen Alphas aren't going to get is when you get a new CD from the store and you have to take the shrink wrap off. And what you would do, at least what I would do, is you would take it and you would get it on the sharp edge of like a counter or a table or something, and you would run it down on the corrugated end of it to rip open the shrink wrap and the sticker that was holding it shut.
Yeah.
And just the satisfaction of running that zip down the side of the table and being able to just sort of peel it open. It was amazing.
Yes.
Anyway, tangent over. Podcast resume.
Oh
my. As I mentioned, Monster of the Week is a Powered by the Apocalypse game. Powered by the Apocalypse is a system that is based off of Apocalypse World. It is a 2d6 system. You roll 2d6 and you add whatever bonus that you happen to have from the relevant stat.
So I like this. This comes fairly close to a lot of other games. This was fairly close to what we were doing with Lost Bay as well. And I'm seeing this system pop up more and more in games. And you don't have quite the same statistical chance as with the D20. Certain rolls are more favorable, but I think it's still a fairly solid system that I do enjoy.
Yeah. And Powered by the Apocalypse and the system that was birthed from Powered by the Apocalypse, which is Forged in the Dark, which is a system of building a D6 dice pool and using the highest roll in the pool, which came from John Harper's Blades in the Dark. They are very popular systems to build indie games around because they are easy to use, which means that they are a simple framework that you can build a lot of stuff on.
Yes.
So the gist of the Powered by the Apocalypse system is a roll result of 1 to 6 is a miss. That means that whatever you tried to do, you did not succeed in doing that thing.
Oh no.
And usually that means something bad is happening as a consequence.
Fair.
A 7 to 9 is a partial success. That means that you managed to succeed in what you were trying to do, but something suboptimal happened in the process or as a result.
Welcome to the land of unintended consequence.
And then a 10 plus is a complete success, which means you were able to do exactly what you wanted to do, exactly the way you wanted to do it.
And there still may or may not be unintended consequence.
No, typically a 10 plus, unless there is a very explicit reason why there would be a consequence. A 10 plus is a complete success. There are no consequences for a complete success.
Well, I was thinking like just story wise, like, yeah, you can do the thing. You can break into the house, go ahead. But, you might find out 2 or 3 sessions later, or, maybe an hour or 2 in the session later that because you broke into the house, now something else happens.
Right.
And that's just storytelling.
Yeah. And then with Monster of the Week, I'm not sure if this exists in other Powered by the Apocalypse games, but you have basic actions, which are the actions that anybody can do, and then you have expert actions, which are actions that are specific to your playbook. But there are points whenever, as you're leveling up, you can mark certain actions as advanced, which means that if you manage to get a 12 plus on that, not only do you succeed, but it goes above and beyond. So it's basically the critical success.
Nice.
And the only way to do that is by having an advanced move and getting that 12 plus. Now, as I was saying, you roll your 2d6. It's going to be hard to get a 10 plus on 2d6, but that's why you're adding your stats to it. And your stats run from -1 as a minimum to a +3 as a maximum. There are probably cases where you can have penalties that go below -1, but they would be very specific to certain circumstances. But there are like status effects that can give you a -1 to your next roll and things like that. So there are ways that you can have really bad times, but there are also things that have really good bonuses.
Yeah. So statistically, if you're rolling that 2d6 for a 10 plus without any bonus, you're looking at about a 25%. So it'd be like a 1 to 5 or a 15 to 20 on a d20.
Sorry?
Statistically, to roll a 10 to a 12, so 10, 11, 12 is 3 out of 12 possibilities.
I think so, yeah.
So that's 1/4. So that's a 25% chance.
Let's see here. There's one way to roll a 12. There's
One way to roll.
two ways to roll an 11, because a 5 on one, a 6 on the other, and then
Okay.
invert the dice.
Okay.
And then there's 3 ways to roll a 10, because a 4,
Right.
6, 6, 4, 5, 5.
So
there's 6 out of 36. So you have a 1 in 6 chance.
So that takes us down to 16%.
Yeah, 17% thereabouts. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yay, we can math.
See, sometimes you have to just break it down. But,
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, your average roll is a 7 on 2d6. 7 is a partial success.
Where
7 and up is a partial success. So, yeah, on average, you're going to have a success with consequence.
I like it. And that's just good storytelling. You do this, so this happens.
And so there are 3 kinds of bonuses that you can get. The first is a bonus forward. A forward bonus typically comes as a +1 forward. And that means that the next applicable roll that either you make or that is made against the creature gets a +1 on it. It's just one roll, but it's the next roll gets a +1 on it.
Okay, that's simple enough.
Yeah. The next one is an ongoing. So +1 ongoing means that everyone gets that bonus until the situation changes or the bonus is no longer relevant.
That makes sense. Again, this is kind of like a longer, instead of, again, to reference D&D, instead of a spell that takes a single action, this is something that would take, 10, 15 minutes or however long that ongoing scenario is, but you just keep adding.
So, for example, if you're fighting a troll and you manage to set the troll on fire, everyone is going to have a +1 ongoing against that troll that is on fire until the troll is no longer on fire.
I like it. +1 to marshmallows.
And then the third bonus is called hold. And you get hold for specific actions. It's for I believe, use magic, it's read a bad situation, or investigate a mystery. So it's when you're gathering information. And how well you succeed on your action determines how much hold you get for that action. And as a result, how many questions you get to ask the keeper to gain information.
I like it. So the hold is an extra question, or is it a hold like you can use them like inspiration die to roll extra dice later on?
So there's no dice involved.
Not dice, roll extra dice, but to roll extra points.
So let's use the investigate a mystery action. You decide you're going to investigate the mystery. You're going to try and figure out what's going on in this particular situation. You roll your dice, and let's just say you happen to roll an 11. So that you get your best possible success. With investigate a mystery, on a 10 plus, you get a hold 2. So there is a list of questions. So the list of questions is, what happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What is going on here? And what is being concealed?
Nice. Okay.
On a 10 plus for investigate a mystery, you get to ask 2 of those questions. And the keeper has to answer you honestly and ostensibly.
Okay, I was going to say, fake truth is a thing.
But this is where malicious compliance comes into play. Because if you are asking a specific question and you don't have a way to actually get that information. So if you ask a question that you could not possibly actually figure out the answer for. Like if you're asking what sort of creature is it, but you have no evidence anywhere that will tell you what sort of creature it is, the keeper gets to ask you, how do you get that info? And if you don't have a good answer for that, you have to pick a different question.
I like that. Again, this keeps the players in the character's mind, it does reduce a bit of the metagaming, which can, I mean, even for experienced table players, that can be hard to break at times.
Well, you don't really have as much metagaming in Monster of the Week as you do in some other games. Because again, like last week, Monster of the Week is not Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
This is another very narrative-driven system. Possibly even more narrative-driven than Kids on Bikes.
Which I do like, and I really do enjoy these narrative-driven systems as well. But yeah, like I said, even when you're playing, and again, it is less likely that your character is going to know something or not know something that the player, the person sitting at the table, might have a hint at. But if the character doesn't have a way of knowing that information, that's where we kind of get into that. And this system does tend to tamp down on that. And so it does make the game feel more immersive, like you, in fact, are the character.
And the big thing is, it explicitly states in the book, you are, as the keeper, generating the mystery. And everybody is figuring out how the mystery is solved and what is actually going to happen as you play. There is no designated end step.
See, I like that as a game. And I like it, in video games, it's called, randomly generated, random procedurally generated.
Yeah, procedurally generated, yeah.
Yeah, and so I like that in games. And one of the first ones I can think that did that was Diablo, for me at least. And which made the game super replayable because every time you walked, even if you walked into the same dungeon, it was created new for you each and every time, which was amazing. And so this does give this game a lot of replayability. You can run the same monster multiple times and not have the same game.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, to just emphasize what I mean by the system is narrative driven, the keeper doesn't get any dice.
Yeah.
Only the players have dice. So the only thing that happens is the keeper presents the situation, the players do all the actions, and the keeper adjudicates the outcomes and all the bad stuff that happens as a result of the hunter's decisions and mishaps.
You have made poor life decisions, now suffer.
Yeah, more or less.
I love it.
But it also emphasizes that the keeper is supposed to be a fan of the players. The keeper is supposed to be fair to the players. The keeper is supposed to be doing the things that help the hunters have fun.
Yes. And again, that does come back to rule number one in any game is, don't be a dick.
Right. But it is explicit that the keeper is not supposed to be antagonistic in any way, shape, or form.
No, there are games out there where the keeper, or, I'm thinking like the Alien games, which I really want to play, but the game Mother in that case. And yeah, their job is to kill off the players because they are playing the aliens in the cold openness of space. So this is, in this game, you challenge the players, you puzzle the players, but you're not antagonistic towards the players.
You have a firm and level hand when adjudicating where they messed up.
Yes. That said, if they make poor life choices, those are poor life choices.
That is true. But poor life choices are how you advance in the game, because the way you level up primarily is by failing.
Oops.
So every time you roll a 6 or lower on one of your rolls, and you fail, you have a miss, and you fail to achieve what it is you set out to do, you get to mark an experience point.
Learning has happened.
And when you get 5 experience points, you level up.
Yay, you've learned 5 things.
And you get to level up in the middle of the session.
Oh, that's nice.
Because all you do is you look at your sheet. You look at your character sheet and you've got a bunch of checkboxes, right? And you get to decide which checkbox you're going to check off.
See, so
you check it off and you unlock that particular part on your character sheet. It's already on your character sheet. It just doesn't have a check mark next to it. You put a check mark next to it. Now you can use that thing.
Yay.
Congratulations. You've leveled up.
It's not like other systems where you have to sit down an entire session just to level up.
Yeah. There's no hit points to roll. There's no figuring out what spells to take and all of that. No, it's pretty simple. And then again, whenever you've leveled up 5 times, you get to take an advanced improvement, which there are a series of different advanced improvements that you can take. One of them is you get to erase a luck mark, and I'm going to be talking about luck here in a little bit. Luck is a very important mechanic. One of them is you get to change your hunter's playbook. So you get to basically change your class and start over from scratch.
Nice.
So that's whenever you've run out of checkboxes on your sheet. If you ever get that far,
Yeah.
you can decide that, well, based on what my character has been doing these last 9 sessions, I'm going to change my class and I'm going to go more into this thing. And then you get to continue on like that. Another one is you get to make a second hunter. Maybe you don't want to change your class. Maybe you want this character to stay as they are. You can just go ahead and make another character that's completely unrelated.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you've got 4 people at the table and you're noticing that there is a gap in what the party can do. And so, yeah, let's pull in. Now you get to double fist characters and you kind of fill in some of those gaps.
Yeah. And that particular point is especially relevant because, as stated in the rules, you can't have 2 players with the same playbook playing in the same party.
Nice. I like that.
Everyone has to be unique. Now, that's not saying that if I wanted to play the expert and James was already playing the expert, we can absolutely have that conversation and say, hey, you seem to be leaning more towards this way. Maybe you want to actually play a spell slinger. You want to be focusing more on the magic stuff.
Maybe,
So whenever you hit your advanced improvement, how about you change over into the spell slinger so that when I hit my next advanced improvement, I can change into the expert because I really want to play an expert.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
And we can narrative it to say that you've been training me as we've been going along, and it is a great way to get interpersonal collaboration at the character building level.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I really like is that you can just decide to retire your hunter.
I like that. You know what? Your character, they've done a lot. They're tired. And maybe they live through that week before they can actually retire. And that week comes up and they're like, you know what? I'm going home. I'm getting my pension. I'm living in my RV camper. Peace.
Yep. All right. Continuing on, as I mentioned earlier, there is no hit point mechanics in Monster of the Week. Instead, you have a tracker, a series of boxes that mark harm, and various things that you get hit with over the course of your adventure can cause you to take harm. Not every hit that you take is going to inflict harm. Sometimes it's going to inflict some other inconvenience, like you get staggered, or you drop the thing that you're carrying, or you just have a -1 on your next check. You have a -1 forward. But as you slowly begin to accrue harm, you're getting more and more beat up as it goes on, to the point where once you hit 4 harm, you become unstable. And at the point when you become unstable, anytime you get hit with a harm ability, even if it is only a 0 harm ability, you take 1 harm. Okay. Everything you get hit with deals +1 harm.
You become extra squishy. Got it.
Because it is a serious injury that is progressively getting worse.
So you have broken your shin, you've broken an arm, and so it's like you can move it around, but it's getting angrier and angrier, and it's going to be less likely to heal over time.
Yeah, this is like you've broken a rib and now you have internal bleeding.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm with that. Yeah, I mean, if you get hit in the stomach again, it might not be hard, but it's definitely pushing that rib in a little bit more.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, it's lacerated your liver and you bleed out.
Okay, let's avoid bleeding out.
Yes, let's avoid bleeding out. But there are various abilities that you can use to stabilize a person so that they don't continue to take harm. Because once you hit 8 harm, you're dead.
That's it. He's dead, Jim.
That's it. And now harm, when it comes to inflicting it on monsters, works a little bit different. In order to actually kill a monster, you have to know what its weakness is.
Nice.
And you have to use its weakness in order to kill it. If you don't know its weakness, you have to use your abilities to figure out what its weakness is. And if you, run it to its maximum amount of harm and you, quote unquote, kill it without using its weakness, it will come back.
So if the party gets together and we pin down the werewolf and we just wail on it with baseball bats until it drops, it's not dropped.
What is it with you and beating werewolves with baseball
I
bats?
don't know. It's just bats and bats.
But yeah, that is a good point that, if you're just bludgeoning a werewolf, you may end up knocking it out and it may look dead. But if you did not use silver, it is not actually dead and it will come back.
And it'll probably be angry.
And it will do it at the point in time that is most inconvenient for the hunters.
Absolutely. Though, again, too, if you are running multiple sessions, not a bad time for the keeper to keep that in their back pocket that they did not properly drop the monster. And now the monster is also coming back in another session, possibly hunting the hunters.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the main way to amp up what you're doing is by using gear. Now, gear is anything that you can utilize. A lot of it is stuff that can be used as weapons. So it's going to have a series of keywords attached to it. The first category of keywords are the harm keywords. So it's going to say 1 harm, 2 harm, 3 harm on it. I think the biggest one I have seen in the book is a 4 harm, and that is something that is very experimental and very inordinately deadly.
Okay, so that's like running somebody over with a car.
It'd be like running someone over with a tank.
Okay, fair. Okay, gotcha.
A car is a 3 harm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A chainsaw is a 3 harm. Okay, if you want something that's like a 6 harm, that's like a tactical warhead.
Okay.
I mean, it is a big deal.
Fair.
And then your second keyword is going to be your range keywords, things like close, far, intimate, which means that you have to be right up there, literally in their face in order to use it.
All right.
And then the third is the descriptor that tells how it works. Things like magic, messy, loud, many. Many being one where it's small so you can carry a lot of them. So like throwing knives.
I was thinking swarm of bees.
Yeah, a swarm of bees would also be a good one. A couple of the examples that they give in the book, one is a hand drill.
Okay.
So a hand drill is a 2 harm, hand, loud, messy.
Fair. And I like that the descriptors are, I mean, it's almost like a Mad Lib, and it's very vague. And so you can kind of let your imagination run and put things together with how it's going to go.
Exactly. And that's the point of it being narrative driven. This is actually a lot like the way that success and failure is determined in Action 12 cinema.
Yeah.
Is that, this is a little more deterministic. The die roll does say whether or not you succeed, whereas in Action 12, it is whether or not it was helpful.
Right.
But it's still that sort of thing, is you are using your creativity to figure out, using the tags and the moves on your sheet, figuring out what you're wanting to do. And you are just throwing everything together as creatively as you can and hoping that the dice say that you succeed in doing it. But knowing that even if you fail, it's still going to be cool.
Yeah. So while the system does sound like it has a bit more innate combat than something like Kids on Bikes, which again, we talked about last episode, this again, where you say it's narrative driven versus, being a combat simulator, it's going to rely very heavily on improv skills, which again can be a ton of fun. If you've got a good group and they're just kind of feeling relaxed and they're comfortable, improv can be so much fun.
Oh yeah. So I mentioned luck marks earlier, luck counters. This is the point where we talk about luck counters. So luck is, as I mentioned, a very important resource to have. You may at any point mark off 1 luck to reduce any wound that you take to 0 harm, or make any roll a 12.
Okay.
The thing is, you have a finite amount of luck.
You only get so much.
I think you have 7 boxes on your luck track.
Yeah.
There are some ways to remove marks from your luck track. They are very few and far between. Some playbooks have an easier time. The mundane can just do it on a level up. They can just remove a mark from their luck track on a level up as just a basic thing that they can do. But most people, you use a luck and it's gone.
See, I like this. And where you have the 7, I want to make it 9, and I just want to make a game or scenario where you're a cat. And each time you use your quote, quote, your luck, that's one of your 9 lives.
I am almost certain that there is a game out there that does that. I know that there is at least one game, I think it's powered by the Apocalypse, where you play as cats.
Nice. The local got those.
and I can't remember the name of it. If I find it, I will put it in the show notes.
Awesome.
And I will cut in a little, editor Ian telling you what it is right about here.
Okay, good deal.
Feature Ian here, and sure enough, I was able to find the game I was thinking of. It is not a Powered by the Apocalypse game. It is Magical Kitties Save the Day by Atlas Games. I have included a link to their website in the show notes. Go ahead and check it out. But the thing about luck is that when you run out of luck, you become doomed. And bad things start happening more frequently, and worse things start happening to you.
I love it.
Because at that point, if you're doomed, the keeper can just automatically just drop a bad thing on you whenever you try and do something, even if you roll a success.
Nice. I love it. So I am currently rereading the Dresden Files because the new book, I'm guessing it's probably going to come out early next year. And I want to be caught up with the series again when the new book comes out. But right now I'm in the book where he is dealing with an entropy curse where just random bad luck things happen. And that would be so much fun to play.
Is that when he has conjuritis, or is that a different time?
No, that's a different time. Okay. I'm on Blood Rights right now.
I vaguely remember that. It's been a while since I've read that far back.
It's the introduction to the White Court vampires.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember that. All right. So, as I mentioned, there are a certain number of basic moves. These are the moves that everybody has access to. And I'm going to try and speed this up a little bit because we're starting to run a little bit long, as we are wont to do. The first one is Act Under Pressure. Act Under Pressure is where you are performing an action under a special duress or danger. So like if you're being chased down a hallway and you have to try and get through the door and slam the door shut before the thing that is chasing you gets into the room. That is an act under pressure.
I like it. So any kind of high intensity situation.
Yes. A 10 plus is you succeed. A 7 to 9 is the keeper gives you your choice of a worse outcome, a hard choice, or a price to pay.
Ooh.
I mean, technically, according to the rules, the keeper only gives you one of those. But listening to the Crit Show, Rev, who is the keeper for that particular game, he likes to try and give all 3 options whenever possible. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to use one of them, but he tries to do all 3 every single time. And then on a miss, things go to hell.
Nice. Chaos, woohoo.
The next basic action is help out. So you can assist another hunter with what they're trying to do. On a 10 plus, you give them a +1 on their roll. On a 7 to 9, they get their +1, but you expose yourself to trouble or danger.
Okay.
And on a miss, you don't help at all, but you still expose yourself to trouble or danger.
Nice. As a keeper, I would almost make like a failure. You don't help, but you too many hands in the pot. You make the situation worse.
I mean, that can happen, but generally speaking, you don't have one player's mistake affecting another player's actions.
Okay.
You don't tend to cross the streams in that way.
Fair.
And the important note is that with the help out action, the bonuses do not stack. So you can't get everybody helping one person to get like a +4.
Okay.
If everybody helps and everybody rolls a 10, they still only get a +1.
Gotcha.
Investigate a mystery. We already talked about that one. I ran through all of those questions and I talked about the details. On a 10 plus, you get hold 2. On a 7 to 9, you get hold 1. On a miss, you reveal information about yourselves to the monster.
Oops.
So the keeper asks you a question and you have to answer honestly.
Nice. What is your name? What is your quest? What is your favorite color?
What is the capital of Assyria?
Nineveh. Oh, wait.
So, next one is kick some ass. Kick some ass is you inflict harm on something.
Really?
I know, right?
Wow.
So, the important thing to know about kick some ass is that anytime you use kick some ass, you take 1 harm.
Ooh.
Because the monster gets to hit you back.
Fair.
In the process. you deal all of your harm before you take that one harm, but you're still going to take that one harm.
Okay.
Now, if you roll a 10 plus, you get to add a bonus on top of whatever your basic harm is for the attack. So you either get to take a +1 forward or grant a +1 forward to another hunter. You get to inflict terrible harm, which means you deal 1 extra harm. You get to suffer less harm, which means you take 1 less harm. So if they don't have a thing that whenever they hit you back, you take like 4 harm. If you're only going to take 1 harm, you end up taking no harm instead.
Oh, nice. Okay. I was going to ask if you could reduce harm to 0.
Yeah, you can reduce harm to 0 doing this.
Okay, perfect.
Or you can force them where you want them.
Okay.
So, like, if you want to knock the minion into a pit of acid, you can do that.
Okay.
They're going to hit you as they fall, and you're going to take your 1 harm, but you can decide that you're going to shove them into the pit of acid, and they're going to land in the pit of acid, and the acid things happen.
I like it. So, honestly, right now, one of the games I'm playing, and I'm not playing this one on Twitch currently, but just for my own enjoyment, I'm playing Blood Bowl because it is football season and you need to. It is a loosely football-themed Warhammer fantasy. They do roll the TD6, but that is one of the things you can do is if you knock someone out of bounds, then they get stomped and they take harm automatically. That's saying, you also, depending on the die roll, can take damage and injury yourself. So this does feel a bit like that too.
Right. Next up is manipulate someone. This is to get someone to do or tell you what you want.
Okay. So this would be like your
this is
bluff,
persuasion rolls, intimidation rolls, any of that sort of thing. Coercion.
Perfect.
So on a 10 plus, they do the thing that you want for the reasons that you give. But if you ask too much of them, they'll do the bare minimum or tell you that there's no way that they can do it.
Yay, malicious compliance.
So yeah, they're not going to walk out in traffic because you got a 10 plus on your roll.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that keeps it reasonable.
On a 7 to 9, they do it, but you have to do something for them first.
Okay.
And if you've asked too much, they'll tell you what, if anything, it'll take to get them to do it.
Ooh, nice. And I mean, this is a good way to build quests upon quests. I like it.
And then on a miss, you offend or anger the target.
My mother was a saint.
And one of the interesting things is you can actually use this move against the other hunters.
Oh, nice.
So on a 10 plus, that hunter has to do what you say, but they get to mark 1 experience and they get a +1 forward.
Okay.
So they get something out of this.
Okay.
On a 7 to 9, they will do what you say and they get to mark +1 experience. They don't get the +1 forward.
Okay.
On a miss, the hunter decides how much you anger or offend them. They get to mark their +1 experience, but then they get to decide how they are not going to do what you ask them to do.
Oh, I like that. Now, I mean, this does seem, depending on the party, I could see a bunch of people like using their first several actions just to kind of farm experience.
See, that's where the keeper comes in.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
The keeper is going to be able to say, no, you can't do that.
Fair. Okay, good then. Yeah, I was wondering how
because that's part of the narrative is there has to be a reason to manipulate someone.
Okay, I like it. That makes me feel better about that rule then. Because I was going to say, that seems a pretty huge loophole.
Yeah, if it doesn't fit in the narrative, then you can't do it.
Okay.
It has to make narrative sense. It has to be cohesive with the narrative. It can be completely outlandish, but feasible.
Fair.
So, generally speaking, you cannot use manipulate someone on monsters. Even if they are completely rational, sapient beings.
Okay.
Like, you can't use manipulate someone on a vampire or a werewolf or somebody that you're, a monstrous opponent that you are facing.
I want my die roll back.
You can still make deals with them, but you just have to hope that they uphold their side of the bargain. They are under no obligation to do so.
Ooh, I like it.
But there is one of the playbooks, the Monstrous, which has a move that they can take called Dark Negotiator, which allows them to use their manipulate someone on monsters.
Nice. That would not be a terrible playbook to run.
And that is because the Monstrous that is someone who is technically a monster. That is somebody who is a vampire, someone who is a werewolf.
So I'm picturing like Hellboy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hellboy would be a perfect example of a monstrous.
Excellent.
Or like D from Vampire Hunter D.
Oh, excellent.
That would be somebody who is a monstrous.
Okay.
And the final point is that it may or may not work against minions of the monster.
Ooh, okay.
And that just is on a narrative basis.
Fair.
Next move is protect someone. You try to prevent harm from happening to someone else. On a success, you protect them, but you suffer harm instead. This is the inverse of kick some ass.
Yeah.
But on a 10 plus, you protect them and you get to choose one of these bonuses. You get to suffer little harm, which means you take one less harm. All impending danger is focused on you. You inflict harm back, or you hold the enemy back.
Okay.
And then on a miss, you just make things worse.
Those all make perfect sense. Again, you're doing your basic meat shield actions, and yeah.
Right. Next one is read a bad situation. This is like investigate a mystery. To give a D&D reference, investigate a mystery is your investigate check. Read a bad situation is your perception check.
Okay, fair.
So you're gathering information from your immediate surroundings. On a 10 plus, you hold 3. On a 7 to 9, you hold 1. On a miss, you either misread the situation or you reveal tactical information to your enemies.
Okay.
And the questions that you get to ask as part of read a bad situation are, what's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
No, I like it.
And for as long as the information remains relevant, you get a +1 ongoing while using that information.
Okay.
And then the final basic action that you can take is the use magic action. I don't think all playbooks are immediately able to access use magic, but because as you gain levels, you can take moves from other playbooks. And so that is something that if you don't have access to it initially, you can get access to it later.
Nice.
So with use magic, you're just trying to use magic. It's what it says on the tin. This is the one action that uses the weird stat instead of the other ones. So on a 10 plus, the magic works without issue. You choose your effect. On a 7 to 9, it works imperfectly. You get to choose an effect and a glitch.
Ooh.
And on a miss, you lose control. This never ends well.
Chaos woohoo.
That is verbatim from the book.
I love it.
So the magic effects that you can get are inflict harm. By just baseline, it is 1 harm, ignore armor, magic obvious are the tags on it. You can enchant a weapon. So the weapon gets +1 harm and becomes magic.
Ooh, magical sword.
You can do one thing beyond human limitations.
Nice. I'm lifting cars.
Yeah. You can bar a place or portal to a specific person or type of creature.
That could be extremely useful.
Yes, it can. You can trap a specific person, minion, or monster.
Okay.
You can banish a spirit or curse from a person, object, or place it inhabits.
Oh, I'm embracing my inner Benny Hinn, just slapping everyone. Demons be gone.
You can summon a monster into the world.
Demon, maybe come here.
You can observe another place or time.
Okay.
Or, and this is a big one, you can heal 1 harm injury.
Very important.
Cure a disease, or neutralize a poison.
All very important.
Yep. And then the magic glitches that you can have are the effect is weakened, the effect is of short duration, you take 1 harm, ignore armor, and it has a problematic side effect.
Oh my, I like it. Oh, so many opportunities for problematic side effects. My mind's erasing.
Oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure that the keeper gets to decide what the problematic side effect is.
I would hope so.
Now, that being said, if my player were to give me a particularly juicy problematic side effect, I would run with it.
Oh, absolutely. That's where sometimes the players do not help.
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about this particular game is that is something that once you get going, the players will throw these things at you.
Oh, absolutely. Because it becomes flow of thought. And then they say, oh, well, what if it's this? Or don't do that because this will happen. And you're like, wasn't going to, but it is now.
Okay, so those are all the basic actions.
Good deal.
We were talking about going through 4 of these classes. As I said, we're going to do this from about 10,000 feet. Not going to the full 30, but we're going to do it. We're going to stay at about 10, where we're just going to give a brief blurb about the archetype and the tropes behind the class or behind the playbook. See, I did it again. And talk about the expert moves that particular playbook has.
Okay.
The things that make that playbook unique. The first one, I'm just going to do these alphabetical order because it just turned out to be alternating back and forth that way. The first one is one of mine, and it is the expert. The expert is that one individual that knows all about monsters and magic.
Okay.
So they have access to all the secrets. They know how to find the information if they don't know it. They have their well-supplied base, their lair that they can, hole up in and have all of their resources available to them. Bobby Singer from Supernatural is an example of an expert. I would personally say that Bob the Skull from the Dresden Files would fall into this category as well.
I was thinking Deckard Cain from Diablo
Deckard Cain from Diablo would also probably fall into this category. So one of the big things about the expert is that they get a haven as part of their playbook. And the haven is their safe place. They have a home base.
Oh, okay, I want this. I'm thinking 2 other experts. The librarian from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. What was his name?
I don't. I've only ever seen a couple episodes. I've wanted to sit there and watch through, but
I think that was one of the examples given in the book.
Oh, excellent.
Rupert, is that sound right?
Sure. Like I said, I've only ever seen 1 or 2 episodes of Buffy. That's been on my watch list for years.
Buffy happened a bit before I had access to cable television, so I did not get a chance to watch Buffy.
Buffy was on network television.
Was it?
Yeah. She was on, I want to say like ABC or CBS.
Well, the ABC channel came in, grainy at best.
Fair. Again, the joys of living in the mountains.
The joys of living with an antenna on the roof.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this one little bit, and then we're going to continue on. I grew up with like 40 feet of coax cable sprawled across the living room floor, and you would rearrange the coax cable until the signal cleared up.
Impressive.
Yeah, that was how we had to do it to get the signal.
Okay.
See here, Channel 5 was our local NBC station. It was the one that came in clear.
Okay.
Channel 2, which was PBS, and Channel 11, which is CBS, came in watchably mostly clear. On a good clear night with the coax in the right place, you got a nice clean picture.
Fair.
Channel 19 was ABC, and it was good enough to watch sports on because you didn't have to have that real good definition.
All right.
Channel 39 was Fox, and it was rare to get that watchable.
Apparently, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was on UPN and WB. So,
which are cable.
Are they cable? I thought they were network.
Those, at least where I grew up, those were cable channels.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, the WB was a cable channel.
Okay. I had those for network, but again, I had more network stations available to me because, again, flat California.
Yeah. So anyway, getting back on track. The Haven, you get to choose 3 of these options just for baseline. And as you level up, you get to add options to it.
Nice.
First one is your lore library. So when you hit the books, you get +1 forward to investigate a mystery. A mystical library. So you have a library of occult tomes and grimoires, which gives you a +1 forward to use magic checks.
Nice. I like it.
Protection spells. Your haven is safe from monsters. They cannot enter. Monsters might be able to do something special to evade the wards, but not easily. You can have an armory. So you have a stockpile of mystical and rare monster-killing weapons. If you ever need a special weapon, you roll +weird. On a 10+, you have it.
See, this is feeling more like Dresden than Bob.
Dresden's a spell slinger.
Yeah, fair.
Actually, given the way that he is presented in the books, Ebenezer might be an expert.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely would be. Yes.
On a 7 to 9, you have the item, but you have the bare minimum. And on a miss, you've got the wrong thing.
Okay.
You have an infirmary, so where you can heal people and you have space for 1 or 2 people to recuperate. The keeper will tell you how long any patient's recovery is likely to take and if you'll need any extra supplies. You have a workshop, which is space for building and repairing guns, cars, and other gadgets. You can work out with the keeper how long any repairs or construction will take and what extra supplies you might need. You can have an oubliette. This room is isolated from every kind of monster, spirit, and magic that you know about. Anything you stash in there can't be found, can't do any magic, and can't get out.
I like it. I love oubliette too. That's just a great French word.
It is. You can have a panic room. So it has the essential supplies and is protected by normal and magical means. So you can hide out there for a few days, safe from pretty much anything.
Okay.
And then the last option is a magical laboratory. So you have a mystical lab with all kinds of weird ingredients and tools specific for casting spells, like the use magic move, big magic, or any other magical moves.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about big magic today because that is a whole different ballgame.
Fair.
That is use magic on steroids.
Oh my.
And then you get to choose 2 of these expert moves to also have as you start off. First one is, I've read about this sort of thing. So you get to use plus sharp instead of plus cool when you act under pressure. Sharp being your intelligence sort of stat, whereas cool is more sort of a combination wisdom charisma. It's act under pressure and help out. So it is your ability to stay calm and act without panicking.
Okay.
But it is also sort of it's both being able to keep a cool head, but also to look cool doing it.
Awesome. Yeah.
So the next one is often right. So when a hunter comes to you for advice, you give them your honest opinion and advice. If they take your advice, they get a +1 ongoing while following your advice, and you get to mark experience.
Not bad.
Next one is preparedness. Whenever you happen to need something unusual or rare, you get to roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, you have it on your person. On a 7 to 9, you have it, but you don't have it with you. On a miss, you know where it is, but it's somewhere real bad.
In the belly of the beast.
Next one is, it wasn't as bad as it looked. Once per mystery, you may attempt to keep going despite your injuries. Roll plus cool. On a 10 plus, you heal 2 harm and stabilize. On a 7 to 9, you may either stabilize or heal 1 harm. And on a miss, it was way worse than it looked.
No.
The keeper may inflict a harm move on you or make your wounds unstable.
Oh, see, I'd wind up rolling like a 4 on that one and be like, okay, I need to heal. I'm going to roll this one. Ah, crap.
Next one is precise strike. So when you inflict harm on a monster, you can aim for a weak spot. Roll plus tough. On a 10 plus, you inflict an extra 2 harm. On a 7 to 9, you inflict an extra 1 harm. On a miss, you leave yourself open to the monster.
Generally a bad idea.
Generally a bad idea. Then you got the woman or man with a plan. At the beginning of each mystery, roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, hold 2. On a 7 to 9, hold 1. Spend the hold to be where you need to be, prepared and ready. On a miss, the keeper holds 1, and they can spend it to put you in a worse place, unprepared and unready.
So much fun. So much fun.
Like I said, having it narrative driven and the keeper not actually having dice is actually a great way of doing this.
Yeah, I do enjoy that.
And then the last one is Dark Past. If you trawl through your memories for something relevant to the case at hand, roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, ask the keeper 2 questions from the list below. On a 7 to 9, ask 1. On a miss, you can ask the question anyway, but that will mean that you were personally complicit in creating the situation you are now dealing with. The questions are, when I dealt with this creature or one of its kind, what did I learn?
Okay.
What black magic do I know that could help here? Do I know anyone who might be behind this? Or who do I know who can help us right now?
Not later now.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the expert moves that you get as an expert, and you can pick 2 of those whenever you start off, and you can get more as you level up.
Good deal. So the next one up's the Flake, and I'm not a huge fan of the name the Flake, but the Flake's going to be like your conspiracy theorist, your Dale Gribbles, your Jonathan Nashes, if you've seen A Beautiful Mind. kind of always looking for that conspiracy theory. Maybe your preppers. They're kind of kooky because they're looking for things inside things that may or may not be there.
One of the examples in the book is Agent Mulder from the X-Files.
Yes, again, that a perfect, kind of everything is
I
connected.
want to believe.
Yeah, he wants to believe. And everything in the X-Files does really wind up being somewhat connected in a weird way. Not always the way expected, but yeah, that type of character.
Also, Charlie from that one episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I need to I've tried to actually watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I've only watched the clip with him and the red string board.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just need to watch that one episode, but the Flake doesn't get a haven or anything like that, but they do get moves they can pick at the beginning. Their extra moves are connect the dots. At the beginning of each mystery, you look for wider patterns. On a 10 plus, hold 3. On a 7 plus, hold 1. So, a hold 3 is huge. Spend your hold during the mystery to ask the keeper, is the person connected to current events more than they are saying? When and where will the next critical event occur? What does the monster want from this person? Is this connected to previous mysteries we have investigated? How does this mystery connect to the bigger picture? And so this would be really good if you're running more than just a one-shot and you're running a series. This would be a really good playbook to have. Your other thing, you can roll Crazy Eyes, so you get +1 weird to a maximum of +3. Go ahead.
That is just a flat stat.
Okay. Well, it says on this, it says...
Yeah, you get +1 weird.
Okay.
That means that your weird is increased by 1.
1. It says to a maximum of +3. You can't...
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Because by default, the Flake is a sharp-based character rather than a weird-based character.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to be weird...
You could do it. And
you could do it.
Honestly, depending on how story develops, I could see sharp characters becoming weird over time because they eventually, discover things. So the next one is see it all fits together. So you can use sharp instead of charm when you manipulate someone. And again, this is using that intellect it'd be like rolling intellect instead of charisma. Often overlooked, when you act all crazy to avoid something, roll weird. On a 10 plus, you would regard it as unthreatening and unimportant. On a 7 through 9, you pick one, unthreatening or unimportant. On a miss, you draw lots, but not all of the attention. So this is I used to always joke when I had to ride the bus when I lived in Central California, my Tourette's was just manifesting. It was really bad. I'm like, but I'm the weird person on the bus, so it feels bad. So everyone was like, aren't there weird people on the bus? I'm like, I have Tourette's. I wound up being the weird one on the bus. So it's kind of like that.
Right, yeah. The joke is, if you don't notice the weird person on the bus, you are the weird person on the bus.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Contrary. So when you seek out and read someone's honest advice on the best course of action for you, then do something else instead, mark experience. If you do exactly the opposite of their advice, you also take +1 ongoing. So this is the exact opposite of...
It is literally the exact opposite of the expert.
Net friends. You know a lot of people on the internet. When you contact a net friend to help you in the mystery, roll plus charm. On 10 plus, they're available and helpful, and they can fix something. Break a code, hack a computer, something like that. 7 through 9, they're prepared to help, but either it's going to take some time or you're going to have to do a part of it yourself. On a miss, you've burnt some bridges. And then the last one is sneaky. When you attack from ambush or from behind, inflict +2 harm. So that's kind of like a rogue sneak attack.
Yeah. You missed one.
Which one did I miss?
Suspicious mind. If someone lies to you, you know it.
Oh, yeah. How did I miss? That one's a critical one.
Yeah. Well, you jumped ahead to often overlooked, so...
Fair. Well, suspicious mind is often overlooked, yes. But that said, if you had suspicious mind and then contrary together and you got advice on one and you knew they were lying, then you could use that contrary to get your experience and your +1 ongoing safely, would be a great combination.
So the next one that we were going to talk about is one that I actually really like. It is the mundane. I love this archetype. I love this trope in these sorts of games. I love the idea of just the random normal dude that has to figure out how to survive in a world where everything is above their pay grade.
The ordinary person in the extraordinary situation.
Right. It's like that meme that goes around sometimes, usually around the Olympics, of I want one just average person to do all of these things alongside all of these Olympic athletes to give myself a benchmark of comparison to see how much better than the average person they are.
Right. No, I totally get that.
And I remember a few years ago, there was one of the Winter Olympics where there was someone who did that. They went and they entered a certain number of downhill skiing events that had low turnout but were Olympic qualifying events, and they barely made the cut on all of those.
Oh, wow.
And as such, were able to qualify for the Olympics despite, basically being an average person.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
So the mundane, you get all of the basic moves plus 3 mundane moves. First one is always the victim. When another hunter uses protect someone to protect you, they mark experience. Whenever a monster captures you, you mark experience.
Oh.
So, yes, the mundane is the one that's always going to volunteer to go off into the dark place and do the thing that you need done.
Oh, my.
The mundane drives the game.
Yes.
Games with the mundane in them are so much fun to listen to. Oh, my God. And this is one that at the start of the crit show, one of the players is playing a mundane. And always the victim is one of the ones they took. And the other one I can remember is oops, which is the next one. If you want to stumble across something important, tell the keeper. You will find something important and useful, although not necessarily related to your immediate problems.
Nice. So this character is kind of sounding like Waldo Butters.
Yes, exactly. Butters is one of my examples. At least initial Butters.
Yes. Spoilers. But
yeah, he does change playbooks at some point in the books.
Definitely a couple times, actually.
Yeah. The other example that they give in the book is Xander from Buffy.
Okay. Again, not super familiar. I've seen enough to know that there's the librarian, and again, the librarian kind of fit with that.
Right.
But, yeah.
So the next move is let's get out of here. If you can protect someone by telling them what to do or by leading them out, roll plus charm instead of plus tough.
Fair. I like it.
Panic button. When you need to escape, name the route you'll try and roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, you're out of danger, no problem. On a 7 to 9, you can go or stay, but if you go, it's going to cost you. You leave something behind or something comes with you. Okay. On a miss, you're caught halfway out.
Again, I love the rabbit button, and yeah, no, this makes me happy.
Next one is the power of heart. When fighting a monster, if you help someone, don't roll plus cool. You automatically help as if you've rolled a 10.
Huzzah.
Then you have trust me. When you tell a normal person the truth in order to protect them from danger, roll plus charm. On a 10 plus, they'll do what you say they should, no questions asked. On a 7 to 9, they'll do it, but the keeper chooses one from they ask you a hard question first, they stall and dither a while, or they have a better idea.
Always fun.
On a miss, they're going to think you're crazy and maybe dangerous too.
I like it.
And then we have what could go wrong? Whenever you charge into immediate danger without hedging your bets, hold 2. You may spend your hold to inflict plus 1 harm, reduce someone's harm suffered by 1, or take plus 2 forward on an act under pressure roll.
Oh, nice.
And then finally, don't worry, I'll check it out. Whenever you go off by yourself to check out somewhere or something scary, mark experience.
That's because that always the victim stat's going to come right back in right then.
I'm pretty sure that the 3 that they took at the beginning were always the victim, oops, and don't worry, I'll check it out.
Nice.
Because, let's face it, that is the best way to just level up insanely quickly.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're sitting there and you are running a Mr. Magoo, which was kind of my character from the Action 12 cinema game, which was also
a little bit fun.
Yeah. So the last one, because it is spooky season, I had to go with the spooky. I can do all things that normal people can't, but there's a price. I haven't paid it in full yet, but the bill's going to come due soon. This would basically be like your D&D or Warlocks.
Yeah, this is absolutely a Warlock, yeah.
Those that are contracted to the Fae or to some other nefarious power who've made, some sort of blood pact or something along those lines.
Yeah. So the examples that they give in the book are Sam Winchester from Supernatural,
okay,
and Willow from the early seasons of Buffy.
Also fair, yeah. So your moves you can pick are telepathy. You can read people's minds and put words in their mind. You can also allow you to investigate a mystery or read a bad situation without needing to actually talk. You can also manipulate someone without speaking. You still roll moves as normal, except people will not expect the weirdness of your mental communication. You have Hex. When you cast a spell, use wild magic. as well as the
No,
normal effects.
no.
You may
When you cast a spell with use magic.
with use magic, yes. As well as with normal effects, you may pick from the following: a target contracts a disease, the target immediately suffers harm, or the target breaks something precious or important. So, I mean, that's kind of a fun one. The sight, you can see the invisible, especially spirits and magical influences. You may communicate or maybe even make deals with the spirits you see, and they give you more opportunities to spot clues when you investigate a mystery. Premonitions, at the start of each mystery, roll plus weird. On 10 plus, you get a detailed vision of something bad that has yet to happen. You take +1 forward to prevent it from coming true, and mark experience if you stop it. On a 7 to 9, you get clouded messages of something bad that is yet to happen. Mark experience if you stop it. On a miss, you get a vision of something bad happening to you, and the keeper holds 3 to be spent 1 for 1 on penalties onto the rolls you make.
Yep.
Ouch, that's a harsh one.
It is. That is definitely one of those feast or famine
Absolutely.
ones.
Hunches. When something bad is happening or is just about to happen somewhere that you are not, roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, you know where you needed to go, just in time to get there. On a 7 through 9, you get there late, in time to intervene, but not in time to prevent it altogether. On a miss, you get there just in time to cause trouble to yourself.
You get there just in time to be in trouble.
Oh,
Yeah.
be in trouble yourself, yes. Tune in. You can attune your mind to a monster or minion. Roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, hold 3. On a 7 through 9, hold 1. On a miss, the monster becomes aware of you. Spend 1 hold to ask the keeper one of the following questions. Gain +1 ongoing while acting on the answers. Where is the creature right now? What is it planning to do right now? Where is it going to attack next? Who does it regard as the biggest threat? How can I attract its attention? Next skill is Big Whammy. You can use your powers to kick some ass. Roll plus weird instead of tough. The attack has a 2 harm, close, obvious, ignore armor. On a miss, you get magical backlash, which that also could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Jinx. You encourage coincidences to occur the way you want. When you jinx a target, roll plus weird. On 10 plus, hold 2. On 7 through 9, hold 1. On a miss, the keeper holds 2 over you to be used the same way. Spend your hold 2. Interfere with a hunter, giving them -1 forward. Help a hunter, giving them +1 forward by interfering with the enemy. Interfere with what a monster, minion, or bystander is trying to do. Inflict 1 harm to the target due to an accident. The target finds something you left for them, or the target loses something that you will soon find.
Yeah, that's the spooky is just a great. It's all of the psionic characters, really.
Yeah. And I really love the random chance tropes with a lot of these, and so I mean, just chaos woohoo is something I've always said. So anytime I can embrace that, I try to.
Yeah, and the spooky gets to the heart of how psionics I feel are supposed to be played. It's big risk, big reward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so here at the end, I'm going to, apropos of nothing, talk about another way that you can gain experience in Monster of the Week. And that is by end of session questions.
Fair.
So the way that end of session questions work, there are 4 questions that the keeper gets to ask at the end of every session. Did we conclude the current mystery? Did we save someone from certain death or worse? Did we learn something new about the world? Did we learn something new about one of the hunters? If you answer 1 or 2 of those questions yes, everyone gets 1 XP.
Huzzah!
If you answer 3 or 4 of those questions yes, everyone gets 2 XP.
Huzzah!
So that is the way to gain experience and level up without failure.
Nice.
It just takes a lot longer because you're not necessarily going to solve a mystery every single time you sit down to play. But yeah, that's Monster of the Week. That's the gist of the rules. If there is a great desire amongst our listeners for us to go and talk about some other aspects of Monster of the Week in a little more depth, I feel pretty comfortable diving deeper into this book and doing more episodes later on it.
Yeah, I like this. I think I do want to explore some more of the Powered by the Apocalypse systems. And I've mentioned the Alien RPG that I really want to play. And the more I hear about the Powered by Apocalypse system, it sounds, if it's not 1 for 1 the system that Aliens is running, it's really close to it.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, or if you want to hear more about Monster of the Week, send us an email, undercommontaste@gmail.com, or come join us on our Discord server and let us know. You can find a link to the Discord as well as all of our social media links on our website, undercommontaste.com. You can also find there links to our itch store, undercommontaste.itch.io, where you can find Beneath the Lake, our liminal horror adventure, which I am in the process of reworking because personally I'm not real happy with it being formatted as a one-shot. I think it needs to be formatted differently for a longer multi-session game, but hey, I'm also working on, adapting it for the Cypher system so that I can run it in Old Gods of Appalachia, but that's
Nice.
something else that is on my to-do list.
More spoons.
Exactly. You can also find my solo journaling game Forever Home, which is about the perils of home ownership and home renovation.
Oh, Lord. If this is your first time listening, we're happy you found us and we're glad you could join us. You can find our other podcasts on your podcatcher of choice. As always, give us a rating and review. This helps increase our visibility and lets us know what you want to hear more of. If you'd like, as we've talked about before, I am now on Twitch. I am streaming now 2 games a week. I'll be playing Darkest Dungeons on Mondays from 10 to 12, and I will be playing Neverwinter Nights on Thursdays from 8 to 10.
And that is at twitch.tv/undercommontaste. So thanks everyone for listening. Stay safe, and we will see you again in 2 weeks for our Lost Bay actual play at Halloween.
Woohoo! Happy gaming.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Undercommon Taste. Our theme song is Massacre Anne, written and performed by Mary Kroll and used with permission. You can find Mary online at marykroll.bandcamp.com or on Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Mary C. Kroll. Our logo is by David Sutherland. You can find more of David's work on deviantart.com/David Sutherland or on instagram.com/Willex_73. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so stay safe, and we'll see you then.